looking at. Okay, all right. Wrong time to ask a question.
Okay. Welcome to Five Questions. It's your girl AJ, the Suburban Princess, here back with five more questions. A repeated offender, but at the same time, we didn't get to tape the first time. Zoom sucks. But this is technically our second meeting this year at attempting at a very good conversation. But please welcome her. For those who haven't seen her, this is Morgan. Welcome, Morgan.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. Thank you.
She looks gorgeous. I keep telling her she has a very golden look. I'm enjoying it. Very, very festive. All
Thank you,
right,
girl.
girl. So it's been a while, even though we technically did talk before, but we're just going to kind of revisit some of these themes. But as you know, five questions is something I just conjured up myself during quarantine, and I decided to keep going with it, especially on days where, life is just not so fun. So it's always good to pick somebody's brain. But thank you for doing it. All right, we're going to start with the obvious question because this year is almost gone. I can't really say it felt like the end of 2020 where I was relieved as much as just anytime it's the end of a year and a lot of changes happen, you're always relieved. But tell me, do you feel like now we can all look back on the pandemic and what we do or do
Yes.
since? Do you
Yeah.
believe that all that was fake news, or do you believe the pandemic was real? And how do you feel about it this year?
I would say 100% real. I've actually never seen anything become so politicized, like something that's really like a genuine health issue, a health
Mhm,
crisis. I've
mhm.
never seen it become, as polarizing as it's become. I do think that we have to continue to adapt as we get new information. So I'm happy that we're no longer masking, in all public places. Like I think it's good that we relaxed that a little bit.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I think it was 100% real. I think it's really a shame that, that some people refuse to accept that, but we got to respect
I know.
everyone's opinion. I can't get down with that. It's not fake. It's definitely not fake.
No, because I don't feel like any of those stats, whether they feel far-fetched at times or not, were
Hmm.
lies with that many people who reportedly. And if you have that much of a medical issue constantly with people who are actually professionals feeling
Right.
overworked and stuff, I don't think that is all hype. I think that's actually
Right.
reality.
Exactly. Exactly.
All these people earn their Christmas bonus if they get that, if they get to
Right.
see their families. But I agree with you. I didn't think it was hype. And I still wear my mask in tight spaces just because I'm still paranoid.
Right, right, just to
Relax.
be safe. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's like
Yeah.
it's not that big of an ask, like wearing a mask or not. I just feel like is it really that big of a deal to put on a mask for, a 5-minute Uber ride or, if you're in a public place with a lot of unknown, people that you don't know. Is it really that big of
Absolutely.
a deal? I don't know.
No, I mean, as relaxed as they are in Florida, I went to go visit my friend Jen, and a lot of people don't wear masks, but I was wearing it when
Mhm.
I was on the trolleys, when I was on the bus, because I told her I was like, these
Right.
people are too close. There's too many people
Well,
squished in these
especially
stops.
Florida. Let's
Yeah.
not get started on
Yeah, we're not,
how
but she knows
special Florida is.
she knows why I was still standing by that in certain spots, like, because it was hot, so I wasn't always wearing it, but I
Right,
wore it
right,
enough to feel like, "Okay, this is where I would not feel comfortable not wearing it,"
right, right.
until you start eating or whatever. But anyway, so moving on with that, we're gonna just talk about the general themes about women this year because I feel like, and me being on social media all the time, probably more than I should be. But I'm
Yes.
noticing that there's a lot of messaging going out. If it's not directly towards women, it's about our influence. It's about the fact us Black women have become very strong and changing the political, wave
Yes.
again. How do you feel as a black woman, and not even not just necessarily a Black woman, but as a woman, that the
Mhm.
negative messaging out there has strengthened? It seems within this last year, not even just because of the midterms.
No, I mean, I would say that, of course, as Black women, we have a very strong political voice. I would say even just being a Black woman out in the world in white spaces,
Hmm.
that in itself is a political statement sometimes. I've had some very interesting experiences this year, like
Mm.
out and about in Philly,
Mm.
that I won't really get too deep into, but just,
Okay.
places where I didn't feel welcomed. And that
Gotcha.
was a new feeling. That was a new
Okay.
feeling because I've been in Philly for, I don't know, 13, 14 years at
Mhm.
this point, and that was like a very unique experience for me feeling that out in public. But it was at primarily white spaces. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but I think it's tied to all of the polarization. Like I really do believe that.
Now,
Um,
where are you from originally, just for those who haven't ever?
Yeah,
introduced to you
correct.
from
So I
someone.
grew up in Bergen County, New Jersey. I was born in Queens, grew up in Jersey, and then made my way to Philly for college. And basically, I have never left. So I love Philly so much. I mean, it's definitely like my adopted home.
Yes.
I really love it here. But yeah, I do feel like there's a little bit of like a strange sort of vibe going on. Um,
Mhm.
but I don't know. I mean, all in all, I love Philly. I love how diverse it is, and I think that's like the primary reason why I'm still here. One thing I did want to talk to you about, which I thought was really, I've noticed this over the last couple of years. So you
Mhm.
know Lizzo, I'm a huge fan. Like
Yes.
I would
I'm
do
wearing her
anything.
onesie. Shout out
Yes,
to
I would
Yitty.
do anything legal and illegal to see her. I love her to death, and I just watched
Yes.
her documentary actually.
Okay, I have to watch it. I have it on my list, but I didn't watch it yet, but yes, I will.
Yeah, it's really, really good. But I have noticed, so, and this has happened in my own family.
Okay.
If you are over a size, let's say 10, everybody starts saying like, "Oh, don't worry, like Lizzo is blazing a path for you." And I'm just like, "Excuse me? Like
Yeah, yeah, for
what?
me? What?
Like for me?"
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
I'm like, "This is so outrageous." Like I just
Right.
think it's crazy that we're assuming. I don't know. I just hate how we have to like lump people together.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I find that to be very just, I mean, I love her to death, but I just also think like it's so insensitive for people to make comments still about women's bodies. Like
Wait,
I
yeah.
can't wait until we get to the point where we don't have to do that or people don't feel like they need to say anything at all. You know,
Yeah.
I'm like, more than saying that, it would be great if you said nothing like about
I
my
agree.
you know what I mean?
Sometimes
Like
the shush game works. Yeah, you're right.
it's so outrageous. It just kills me. It kills me to death. And then the other thing is just like on Instagram, right? Like
Yeah.
all of the influencers and like I don't know, it just feels like okay, curvy is in, but only like a specific type of
Type
curvy,
of
right?
curvy.
Like
Yes.
it's very like, you know, Tabria
Selective.
Majors
Mhm.
or you know, Ashley Graham or like a certain type of body type
Yeah.
that's curvy, but it's not very inclusive, and I think it's very weird. Like we're trying to be more positive, but it's not. It doesn't come off that way. Like, and I think it's kind of like a huge miss. Like, I don't know, it's a little
I
off.
just I agree with you because I think that that goes right into the question because the whole negative messaging and saying that you're never going to be enough. And I
Yes,
think that we shouldn't be shocked, especially with social media kind of becoming so hard to control in terms of like
mm,
how much influence you have by being on it versus how much mental damage you might be doing to yourself, in
right,
comparison. And if you're not the type of person that's heavily influenced, that's great. But there are times, even if you're not my age in my 40s or younger, that you're having a bad week, okay, month
right,
maybe,
right.
and you have not really felt encouraged from social media necessarily because you look at it like from the perspective like with Lizzo, where to
Hmm.
me, I think she's actually more in shape than people think she is because
Absolutely.
she
Can you
cannot
even
be on a schedule
imagine?
like that. Yeah, she can't do what she does
But
singing and playing the flute
singing,
without
playing the
any kind of
flute, dancing,
exercise.
and she's not out of breath, and she's still hitting every note.
Exactly.
You know, like to be in that type of like cardio shape, like it's
Yeah.
not even.
I
Yeah,
mean,
she's
touring alone takes a lot out of people. So, and people who are like half her size, are passing out left and right during tours. But she's sitting there being like, just taking a deep breath, blowing into her
exactly,
flute,
exactly.
twerking. Yeah. I mean, you're right. I mean, I feel like with her, she's definitely an example of what the negative messaging, because it went from
Mhm.
showing her actually being affected by it briefly, like posting herself crying, to her going
Yeah,
right back to showing her, when she developed her Yitty line and started, I mean, it's
which
going
I
off the
love. I
charts. Yes.
love. I mean, I
So
love
fun.
the fact that she's real. Like, I love the fact that she showed her, you know, being affected by the comments and stuff, because that's all of us. I mean, we all
It
would be
is.
affected by that, you know. So I think it's nice to see a woman who's not afraid to show like both sides of herself. You know, like
Yeah.
yes, I'm strong, and yes, like I can keep going, and you know, I'm not going to let this affect me and stop me from what I'm doing. But yeah,
Mhm.
there are days I'm sure that it gets to her, and I like that she's not afraid to show that.
And on the other side of social media, I liked hearing what Taraji Henson had been reposted of saying is that sometimes the Black
Mhm.
woman doesn't always want to be the strong person because strong
Oh my
people,
God, yes.
you give the whole assumption that we can take everything, and we don't always
Right.
want to do that. A
By the way,
comedian that
I
I
am
watch all the
having.
time said that all the time. She was like, "Some of us women don't want that burden. No, thank you." you
No,
know, the strong Black
it's not
woman.
always a positive thing to be considered like, you know, unbreakable or oh,
Right.
you'll get through this no matter what.
Right.
It's not always good.
No, and especially because you realize now, like we're going back to the political side of it, I think
Mhm.
that people have to realize now why that label has come, because we've
Mm.
always had, we could never just have something as easy as it seems to be for other non-black females to
Right.
attain simple things like equality. We have to always fight for everything. We always have to argue with people for stuff. We always have to explain things, and that's
Absolutely.
what I find is getting more tired. And so I just wanted your feedback on it, because you and me both, and we've talked about this on the last time, even though it didn't make the cut.
That's
We talked
okay.
about how we can get that label ourselves because of us always having to deal with whether black people or white people want to think that we're not black, because we talk
Oh
clear,
Lord,
because we weren't. It's
that's
a
a
whole
whole
nother thing.
nother that could be a separate podcast into
Oh,
itself.
we know, and that's why I say I touched on it, because we had so many gems in that one that we wish we had kept it on tape, but it didn't make it. But
Yes. No, you're
but
absolute that's another thing that we should talk about that, like, in
we
more
definitely
detail at
will,
some
because I
point.
think we should get some other black women on there too, because I think that that's
Yes,
important for
yes,
other women to understand why that label is still annoying to
yes.
this point. But yes, it's a good idea. Thank you. I will put that in the noggin here. But all right, so I will go to one of the questions I feel like you definitely probably can relate to is, did you feel the need to change anything as far as how you approach dating, eating, or socializing this year? And if so,
Mm,
what did you learn and that you'd like to share?
definitely, yes, definitely. So, it's so funny, like, I turned 34 this year,
Mm-hmm.
which was, like, a shock to the system, honestly. So, I
Girl,
think
go
I
10
met
years more
you
for me.
I think I met you when I was 25 or 26.
I knew you were
So,
definitely younger. I said, she got that spirit. I said, that girl ain't been hurt yet.
well, surprise.
Well, go ahead.
Yes. Yeah, well, update. It's been a crazy, I guess 8 years because, yeah, I guess the major thing that I've learned is you cannot change anyone, you know? And that is something that was very hard to learn, and I think I'm still, touching the stove when it's hot. I'm still learning that, but
Yeah,
it's really like a shock to the system when you realize, like, you cannot affect anybody else's behavior but your own.
right.
The only thing you can do is try to work on yourself and choose people to be in your life who are going, to do the right thing and to treat you well and to, like, uplift you. But I mean, oh my gosh, I think, like, if I could get back the time that I've spent trying to turn the ship,
Mm,
trying to change,
wasting time, right?
wasting a lot of time and a lot of effort,
Yeah.
just, paying my therapist overtime. Yes, it has been it's been a
Yeah.
lot. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I would say, yeah, just realizing that, like, the only control that you really have in life is over yourself, and everything else is subject to change, and I really, as someone like, I'm a Virgo. I think you're a
Hmm.
Virgo too, right?
We're Virgos. Yep.
Yes, yeah,
Yes.
okay,
We
so
know
for me,
our
it's like I
control and
want
critique.
yes, everything, I wrote down notes, of course, for our
I'm getting
but
better at it.
yeah,
I used to be a slob with it, but I'm getting better. Yeah.
it makes me a great employee, but,
Yes.
not someone who's always really great to themselves because 'cause I'm just overthinking,
Yep.
overdoing it.
Yes.
But yeah, I wish that I had learned that, like, in my 20s, like, you're presented with certain people in your life, and they're not always supposed to be there forever. Like, that's
Right.
another thing. Like, this is a person and this could be friendships,
Yeah.
sometimes even family. Like,
Yep.
I'm learning over the last year, just, like, having boundaries with even family members, friends, like, definitely in a romantic situation, but just to keep that boundary
Yeah.
is so important, like protecting yourself. So, yeah,
Yeah.
it's been an interesting year for sure.
I agree that this year specifically felt I've kind of definitely had to put into usage the self-talk, reducing
Mm,
my negative self-talk, because
yes.
as we Virgos know, we are critical of ourselves as well as other people around us.
Hypercritical, yes, yes. But we
Hyper.
mean well. We mean well.
We do. We just want to do right, and that's all it is. I mean, but
Yes.
that need for perfection, man, that can really set people
So
up to
hard.
fail no matter what, because they're never going to meet those standards. It's just unrealistic. But
Yeah.
but that's good to know. And honestly, like I said, 2 years out of the pandemic, you would think that a lot of things would have changed for me this year. But I think the main thing that I'm proud of is that I switched jobs because it was something I wanted to do, and I
Mm,
didn't fall back on it because I was scared of the change. I mean, I'm still struggling with this remote job, but I prefer remote, but it's forcing me also to make myself
Good.
move more throughout the day and not be stiff. And,
Right, right. That's
I don't
good.
want to be gaining weight. So I've had to learn to curb my sugar, and I'm fighting with prediabetes now. So it's like I'm trying to get myself more disciplined. But no, that's good. It's here to change. And 2023, you and me both, I'm gonna start applying that to boundaries as well. More so with my friends more than my family, because it's like I pretty much stick to my core family members. So
Mhm.
that's not an issue too much. But all right. So you and me were talking about things you go through with changing, but what is the true moment this year that you can say that you were proud of something? I know I just talked about switching jobs, but tell me a moment, even if it wasn't this year, that you really could say you're really proud of yourself.
I honestly, I know this is gonna sound like not terrible, but it's gonna sound like repetitive, but I do just it took me like a long time to realize that I was a people pleaser.
Yeah, okay.
And that's very much like a Virgo trait, like
Yes.
people pleasing to a fault. I mean,
Service people, yeah.
yeah, servicing like into our own unhappiness almost. And I mean, I would be doing things for people and then getting mad at them. And I'm like, wait, I'm the one that's offering this up.
Yes.
Why am I angry
Why am I
later?
upset?
Yeah. So once again, paying my therapist a lot to tell me the obvious things. But
Yes.
yeah, I'm just like, wow, I'm here upset and I'm harboring all of this anxiety and animosity towards
Yes.
someone that I'm trying to over please. And I'm like, I have to cut this out. So I
Yeah.
think just coming to the realization that that is not sustainable. Like I can't be happy and do that at the same time.
Right.
Realizing that and then really trying to like make a change and make it less frequent. I can't say I've stopped it altogether,
Right.
but I definitely am like aware of it now and I could at least like pinpoint, all right, I know where this anger is coming from. Like that was like a huge, I mean, it took me my entire life to arrive at this place.
Honestly,
So
yeah. And still probably more self-discovery coming, because tell me,
yes.
trust me, I'm still beating myself up over certain things. So yeah,
Yeah, that was
I
what
understand
about
that.
you? What about you? What's your
For me, I'm proud of this year. Same thing with you in the sense of mindfulness. I've definitely have
mm,
become more mindful of, again, when I put the anxiety on myself, because I do have a lot more anxiety, obviously, since pandemic didn't help, but I made
of course.
myself be accountable for the things that I created in my head that really weren't necessary reasons to be anxious, but just what ifs that I kind of just let spiral in my brain. And little things like making myself take a walk, or even just going back downtown by
Mm,
myself that week before, felt good, because I knew I had to get out. I knew I had
yes,
just been
yeah.
chilling too much in the house. I knew I had been too comfortable. I was mindful of maybe disagreements I've had with my best friend, and then realize later it's like, if you would listen to her, then you wouldn't be upset. Because sometimes I have to backtrack on things I say. That's why I'm glad we do WhatsApp, because I can always go back on the message and go, wait, what? When
Mm,
did I say that? But I'm proud of myself that I'm more mindful and more self-aware of the habits I have, the
mm.
habits I don't have to keep, you know what I mean? And then also treating
Yes.
myself better,
That's
you know?
important, the habits you don't have to keep, I love that, because it's like we
Yeah,
don't have to be whoever we were yesterday or last week,
right.
we don't have to be those people, like, we can continue to push forward, and that's something, again, like, getting stuck in the rut, sometimes of our
Yeah,
own behavior, like,
yes.
that's a great line, what you just said,
I'm telling you, as cheesy as it sounds, I do always collect little TikTok clips of affirmations, because sometimes they do
Mm,
help me, because in
yeah,
doing anything new, if you're not good with change, which I'm not, that was another thing I noticed this year. I have all the years I've switched jobs. I never thought I was that anxious about it until I switched to this remote job, and then I
mm,
realized, I'm like, oh my gosh, I am scared, because I felt like a whole week last week, and I don't know if it was PMS or what, but I just felt like everything was getting on my nerves. And I was at this point where I'm like, I might have to quit. I may not last, I was just going there, spiraling. And then I finally realized, take a gummy and just chill out. Like, some stuff is not, and not even just, I'm not always just pushing CBD, but I'm saying, like, for me, it helped the extra physicalness I was creating,
yes,
stress I was
yeah,
creating. And then I've just obviously done a lot more meditating this year, because I have
great,
moments where I don't even realize I am putting myself in that mind space without even being
yeah,
triggered by
yeah.
anything.
No, I
So,
think that's I think that's very valid. I totally hear all of that. Like, Another thing I've noticed that's really helpful, like you were saying, CBD is this. I don't know how this is gonna sound, but I love my weighted blanket.
Yeah,
I
I have
think
that too.
you do? Okay, yeah.
Yes,
So I
honey.
love that. That helps
Yes.
so much. And then
Yes.
when I'm normally like working at my desk, like I'm downstairs right now, but when I'm upstairs in my office, I have a like weighted thing that goes around my neck when I'm like on
Oh,
conference calls.
yeah! I don't have
Oh
one,
my
but I know what
God.
you're talking about.
It
Yes.
keeps my like my posture good and it keeps me like grounded. Like the
Oh, that's
weight
good.
just reminds me of like, okay, you're like be in your body, be in the moment.
Be
You know what I
present.
mean? Like and stop going all the way up to your head and like letting everything get carried
I
away.
have to think
So,
about that now. That's actually good because sometimes when I do find myself getting anxious, it's like I find that's when I'm leaned over my desk, my computer,
yes,
and then
and your
I'm like,
shoulders
"Sit
go up.
back."
It's
Yes. So
yeah.
when you said that, I
Mhm.
thought about it because I'm like, "Yeah, I probably could use that because it's midday, it's like I can feel myself, like, going like this,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
I have to sit back in my little massage chair thing, turn the thing on in the heat, and just chill for, like, 5 minutes, like, "Girl, sit back. Your back is cracking." Like, I forget my body posture, so you're right, that's really good. So, look at us helping each other, us Virgos. I tell you, we're
Welcome
looking out for
to
each other.
35. So much fun.
Oh, yeah, honey, and then wait till you get to your 40s, because then you really don't give a fuck, and that's pretty much where I'm at right now. So, alright, so lastly, I saved this for last because I know we were gonna talk about this a lot. I just
Okay.
finished the last segment of the Harry and Meghan Netflix,
Oh my
special.
God. It is
Okay,
so good. It's so
okay,
good.
okay,
Oh
so
my God,
tell
I
me what
watched
you
it
like.
in
Well,
like
let's go
2 days.
first. Just go
So
off, like, what you wanna talk about.
I watched all 3 episodes, like, the first day it came out, what was that, last week? I watched all
Yep,
3, and
yep,
then this morning, I watched all of them.
okay.
So, I'm a huge fan. I love them as a
Me too,
couple.
me too.
I have so many things to say,
Go
right?
ahead, sound
So,
off.
colorism, right?
Yeah,
With Megan, when
yes.
she said that this was the first time she's been treated like a black woman,
Yeah,
I was in shock. I mean, I'm like,
horrible.
really? Like,
Yeah,
your mother is a brown skinned black woman with dreads. Like, how were you confused? I mean, I don't know if she was confused, but the fact that she literally acknowledged that she had
acknowledge.
never experienced this, it was shocking to me because it just
Mhm.
to me puts into full light the fact that we all have different experiences and even within the black community we all have different experiences based on
Totally.
our color. I mean,
Yes.
that was wild hearing that and I was just like wow. I mean, what did you think about that?
When they I knew whenever I can tell on social media when that particular bit
Mhm.
made the rounds faster than any other part of it, because at this point we all know
Yes.
the story. It's just the fact that people realized the first time in my life she did not think of herself as a black person. And
Right, right,
that whole separation, when you clearly have a white father, have a black
right,
mother,
right.
it made me realize now all those celebrities and what my nieces are probably going to go through as they get older, that whole dissociation that happens with biracial
Mm,
people who don't know who to cling to or claim because they're just trying to live their life. and
yes,
and I think
yeah,
she also meant to say she also probably hadn't been any adversity
yes,
and did it because of
absolutely.
her color. Yeah, so that made me realize that even when you're not fair skinned like her, because honestly, I would look at her and think she was white. But the more I would look at her closer, I think there's certain characteristics of any black person, no matter how fair skinned they are, that you can tell that they are not white.
Yeah, I mean, she definitely looks to me, she looks ethnic, like, she doesn't necessarily look black, but she looks ethnic, like, she doesn't
She
look
looks other. She
yeah,
definitely
yeah,
looks other.
but I will say that this ties into what we were talking about earlier about
Yeah.
the Instagram ideal,
Yes.
because I feel like it on Instagram and I will even pull in the Kardashians on this, I do feel like this sort of ambiguous
Yes.
look is very in, and that
Yes.
is what most people want. Like, nobody wants to
Yes.
look, straight up and down white,
Right.
and, people are afraid of completely going the other direction, so they're like, "Oh,
Exactly.
let me claim this weird middle area where
Yes.
I'm just ambiguously something," and I don't know, I kind of feel like that's where a lot of, like, the Instagram models live, in that weird area, definitely the Kardashians, but yeah, when she said that, it just, like, it stuck out in my mind as, like, very interesting.
It made me realize, like, the moments too that when I would go through awkward moments with other black girls in high school, and I didn't understand
Mhm.
why they used to target me for a lot of the things that I
Mm.
couldn't control. I didn't realize I was always getting harped up on details. Like it would be my hair 1 minute, it would be how I dress the
Mm,
other. Then it became how I talk. And I'm thinking to myself, I can't do anything about that. And I
right.
shouldn't have cared. But of course, when you're naive and
Yeah,
you're
but when
kind of
you're young, you
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 don't
can't
know.
necessarily, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I wish I'd have just been more straight up and more gully back then. I wish I could have been like how I am now and just been like, why are you even saying this to me? Like, what, don't
Right.
talk.
Or why do you care? Yeah,
Why do you
exactly. Why
care?
are they
Like, I think I should have just been able to speak up at least once and just say and make them feel stupid to the point where it's like, I don't know why this is important to you,
right,
but obviously it's got you stressed. It ain't got me stressed. You know what I mean?
right,
But
right.
yeah, I do think that was pivotal. But tell me something else because I know there's several themes.
Oh my god. Okay. So then I think her whole relationship with Harry and the way that she was pursued by him and the fact that his family sees her as like the wedge, right? That sort of broke him away from the
Hmm.
family. She said something at the towards the end. I can't remember if it was like the last episode or the second to last, but she said if he wasn't already on his own path, he never would have been interested in me to begin with. And
True.
I thought that was very, just
Telling.
yeah, because for him, he could have gone with anyone who would have easily fit the mold,
Hmm.
who would have easily just, let's get married, let's go through the whole thing. It
Right.
won't be a big deal.
Right.
But what I thought was really, really important was the fact that she acknowledged that it took, again, about not changing people. Like he had to be on his own, beaten path. And he was
Hmm.
already not like his family. Like he was already sort of seeking out a different way of life for himself. So I just thought that was interesting, like to hear that directly from them, that was really cool.
I,
Um,
I, def- I definitely like the fact that literally we all, and we, like I said, people who don't give a crap about the royals always never understand the fascination. But I would think even more so now with Meghan being tied to this family, that
yes,
would draw more attention because she's American and a Black American at that,
yes,
and a
yeah,
smart American. Not someone that was willing to be like, I loved her naivete. Trust me, I
yes,
loved it
yeah, I
because I
know.
don't think people thought she was genuine, but she
She
literally
was.
did not know what she was doing in that lifestyle right
But
away.
I loved that. I thought there
I
was
loved
something
it too.
very endearing about that, like something very
Yes.
real and genuine. I mean, maybe she should have known getting into it, but at the same
Right.
time, I just feel like she was being real. Like she really thought like, okay, I'm just gonna date this person. They're gonna meet me. They're gonna love me. It's gonna
Mhm,
be
mhm.
fine.
And you
Like,
can hear the people pleaser in her at times too, because you can tell, like she
yes.
said, when they finally left, I loved
Mhm.
how she realized like she couldn't do anything. She tried so hard. And I said, oh my God, she's like a student. Like in her mind, she was just like, I just wanted to do everything right. And it was just
Right.
like,
Right.
girl, you would never have done anything right. It doesn't matter what you did. They
So
were already stuck in their ways.
what do you think about, having I forget the analogy. They said they went through an analogy in the film where they were saying like, um, a person of color is stepping into like a certain role that they've never stepped into before, and it's going to make it better.
Hmm.
But for the time being, like the institution is going to try to shake it off, you
Yeah.
know? And I felt like that was very true of, you know, Obama's presidency here. And I thought it was very true, obviously, of her experience there. And I just think like there are these things that people think of as unchangeable or like
Yeah.
they're just written in stone
Yeah.
and they don't want to share that legacy. And I don't know. I
It's
it's
how she opened
scary.
up the it was the second series. That's I missed like the beginning, but I could tell she was doing an analogy. And
Hmm.
towards the end of it, before they opened that next series, I said, "Oh, so she was basically saying like, I would have never had a shot no matter what because this is all they were going to focus on,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know."
They
And
focus on the
honestly,
difference.
right,
You
the
know.
differences, and just like her mother said, like her mother knew like at that point it was just going to be about her race at that point, and that
Which
was
isn't it wild though? Because like we just said, she looks so ambiguous to most
fair, right,
people.
right.
I'm like, it's so to me, I'm like, really? Why is this even like I
It
mean,
shouldn't even be a thing. It really shouldn't be a thing, but I also felt like it was more so even that she was an American. But then again,
yeah, yeah.
Grace Jones, what's her name? Princess Grace, she was an American. She was from Philly,
That's
but
yeah,
that wasn't
yeah.
the issue. She was also white and blonde. So I think about it as soon as I said that, I'm like, that doesn't matter because she was white. And I don't think that was as much as a controversy as it would be with Megan because she did have black lineage. And something I noticed too towards the end when I watched is that they're sitting there trying to defend the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth is supposed to represent all the people that England controlled. So it's like all the more
Right.
reason I agree with Harry. You missed a chance to take advantage of
Yes,
embracing
exactly.
her and showing that you are all about what you're
Yeah,
supposedly of service to or looming
absolutely.
over. And that's why now, Jamaica and all them, they don't want nothing to do with them because they were just like, oh, so y'all was
Right,
just trying to just
right.
be in charge of this, but you weren't trying to be of this. Okay, we're done.
That's the shame. That is really a shame
It
because
is a shame.
they had a great opportunity to take advantage of that and they lost it. I
And they
mean,
screwed it because they were so busy worried about the image. And that's what kills me. Everyone I don't think in that actual palace who is of the lineage really freaking cares, but they have to live behind that
right,
lifestyle as a shield. And then the media just has what they want to do with it. And to
right.
me, only Harry being the redheaded stepkid who pretty much always to me was like left from
I
literally from
just
the
I
get.
wonder why he's the one to break out and be like, and I wonder if it's because of Diana, is it because of his mom being also sort of persecuted in a way? You know what I mean? Like,
I just feel like he was the one that was closest to his mom. Not saying that William wasn't, but
right.
say because all the pictures I remember of her being alive, she was all, and I get it because he was the youngest, but she was always holding on to him the longest. You
Mm,
know,
yeah.
William was always had to show appearances because he was all studly and stuff, but Harry was always with her, always up against her, always holding her, and I think the fact that it hurt him the most of how she went and the fact that he went into such a mode of protection once he
Yes.
realized she was starting to have those feelings of suicide and feeling that
Right.
pressure. I think he instantly went into defense mode. And at that point, like I said, I think he already knew from the minute that they were hitting it off that this may or may not be a thing, but he thought that they weren't willing to
To
not
compromise.
protect them
Yeah.
and comfort
Yeah.
her
Yeah.
in order to save the monarchy. You know what I mean? Especially because I don't think the queen hated her. I don't even think William and Kate hated her. I just think they all had to stand by where the institution, without
Well,
any drama.
that's what was so odd to me, like, the whole idea of each family
Yeah.
within the royal family having their own press office.
I own offices. I know. I
I'm like,
tripped about
"What?"
that too.
That
Office.
was so strange. I'm like, so
Very
everyone has their own PR, their own, press agents that are, like, negotiating with the media for
right.
stories and leaks, and I'm just like, "Wow." I mean, it just seems so backstabbing and so,
It's
just so
it's
cutthroat.
two-faced. It's very
Yeah.
two-faced, and for me, I wanna believe that William and Kate aren't that devious, but I mean, hell, I could understand why they would
Mhm.
resent them seriously because people felt that clearly, Harry and Meghan could be more transparent than they could,
They were just more
and
real. I just
they're
felt
just
like,
but they
and
allowed themselves to
honestly,
be.
like, I hate to keep making this, like, analogy to Obama, but I just feel very much like I don't know if you saw, there was a documentary that was done by the White House photographer that, um
Yes, Pete Sousa, yeah. Yeah.
yes, yeah,
Yes.
and he was just talking about how much more open Obama was than, like, most other presidents and just, like,
Yes.
the feeling of, being in the White House and, like, the types of people who were invited there and,
Yes.
just sort of breaking down barriers and all of that, and I just felt the same thing with Harry
With
and
Meghan.
Meghan. Yeah, and traveling and, like, I know they have all of these scheduled, tours for their royal duties or whatever, but I just felt like they were so much more down to earth.
Well,
The
and
whole
Megan was doing that before. That's what people don't realize. Like
That's
she
so
wasn't
true.
doing that
Yes,
for flashes. She was always charitable. I loved
yes,
how they brought up that whole Greyfell Towers with those women because I
yes,
remember when the
yes,
clip
yeah, that
came
was
out.
great. Mhm,
Yeah,
that
and
was great,
that
yeah.
was when they finally decided to do like a Duke like page or a Duke Twitter at least to like give some things
Yeah,
out. But when she did that, I knew that I said they're going to have a fit after a while because she's actually about her business and she doesn't need
I loved that.
to
I
do the
loved
pink
that she
service.
just
She would have
went
did that
for
anyway.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought that was so cool and just so, like, to get in there and, like, cook with them and,
And that
I thought
always
that was
being her message about empowering women. It wasn't like something that just came
right,
to her when she was married to Harry, like, she felt that way even before, and
right,
even when she wasn't doing Suits anymore and she was still doing charitable work, that's eventually, I
right.
think, how they probably crossed networks at some point, but to me, you can tell he's proud of her because when they show when they're in Zimbabwe or South Africa, I forget, I think it was Zimbabwe, where she had overcame, the postpartum with, the first baby, and you could just tell how he was making sure that she was okay,
Yes, Yeah.
and watching her talk, because the fact that she also felt pressure to only say certain things because she couldn't really speak as
Right.
widely as she can,
And
that
only wearing neutral colors? I'm like, "What?"
so she could blend in because she didn't want to stick out and
I'm like,
overshadow.
"You're never gonna blend in, by the way."
I'm about to say, I said, hate to tell you, honey, but you don't have the sunken in features. You're walking there smiling. They looking at you like, why is she so damn happy? You know
Oh
what I
my
mean? Like,
god. She
and
always looks great. She looks
she looks great to me.
always.
Even when they
Yes.
said she looked stressed, I still thought she looked pretty. I just felt I could tell a
Yeah.
couple times you could tell in her face she was starting to get
Mhm.
like heavy. But at the same time, I think that knowing that that kind of glow was starting to dim is where Harry started
Yes.
to freak out, because he knew if she's now starting to even feel pressured to even come to these events without trying to having to fake a
Right.
smile, which is not like her,
Right.
that is when you knew like she can't hold it in anymore. And the fact that she wasn't allowed to get help,
Well, that was the wild thing,
was
and
so
I thought that was great that he brought up, because I think there was, like, a comment from the family saying, "Well, everyone else deals with it, why can't she deal with it?" And he said, "It's different for her, and you know that, but also, why should it not be okay for anyone in the family to get help?" You know, like, I mean, I think, again, just, like, the fact that they are not, I mean, they're obviously younger, so they're not
this is
afraid
true.
to, you know, to, I think there's a generational divide there anyway. Just, I mean, I
Anyway,
have this conversation with my family all the time about seeking therapy, and, you know, I mean, I'm so open about my therapy and
me too.
my work. Yeah. But my, you know, other family members are just like, "Oh, really?" Like, you know, they're not into going
Because they
to
were shunned. Because my sister, my mom, and my dad, all my dad always shuns that stuff. He'll say, "If as long as
Yeah.
it helps you," but then the first instinct always be like, "Well, why can't you talk to your mother? Or you going to church?" There's always this kind of
Right.
band-aid
There's
fix answer for it. Yeah, and I'm just
yeah.
like, I ain't been to church in like 10 years. What are you talking about? I'm
Right.
like, I talk to God
Exactly.
daily. I don't need to go to church to talk to God, but anymore. And it's not
Yeah.
like I even don't mind take. There's just a point where there's certain routines and tradition don't apply to you anymore, and
Yeah.
at the same time with Megan, I think that she was willing to follow the tradition. Like, remember, what people don't want to,
She tried.
she tried. And my whole thing is she's not the one who wanted to up and leave. That was Harry. She was willing to just fight it out because I think she was so task oriented about trying to win this Daily Mail battle because of how they
Yes.
violated her
We have
privacy.
to look her up. Is she a Virgo? She must be.
I know. I have a feeling she's like an Aries. I feel like actually, no, 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 take it back. She celebrated her birthday in June, so she's probably like a Gemini or
Oh,
something.
okay.
They celebrate
Okay.
her birthday in June, and Harry's in September. I think Harry's a Virgo.
Okay. All right.
So, yeah, I
Interesting.
do remember that. Yeah, because it was the summer when they celebrated her birthday. But yeah, but the point is, I think that someone like her is very detail oriented, and so she stressed herself to the point where she miscarried because she was so annoyed with how the Daily Mail was conducting that whole part of her life that they were violating, and then trying to blame her for everything. And I
Right.
think that in my head as I watched it, I wanted to be like, girl, you're not gonna win that battle. Like, they're because
No.
that's what they do, that's their job. And I guarantee you most of the people who are in the palace literally are probably spinning things that could actually really have been said and making it worse so that it protects
Right.
them. But
Well,
how
I wanna
fragile.
know how they're gonna feel about this. It's so funny, they haven't said anything yet.
Well, they're
So
still I've heard recently that they're already denying, or they think that the Daily Mail has said, of course, because they won't stop talking, but they're saying that they think she's waged a war on everybody in the
of course.
media, and that she probably doesn't need to come back here. And I'm just like, first of all, y'all keep acting like she's alone in this.
They she didn't wanna come back. They don't wanna come back. That's what
They,
the whole thing
and
was. Yeah.
Harry loves his country, but at the same time, y'all don't make it easy for him to want to come back. You know what I
Right,
mean? Like, he's
exactly.
got friends there.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's like, and Megan liked everybody, so I don't think she would have a problem as long as she didn't get no shade when she got back there. So
Right.
they have to grow up and realize that we get what your little mechanics with the media can do, but can you give it a rest? Because for once we
Right, it's too
survived, and
much.
it's too much. Like,
It's
we're
way too
not trying
much.
to have what happened with Diana with my wife. Like, can you guys just call the dogs off,
I
And
really go ahead, sorry.
no, I was just gonna say I was gonna talk about the Tyler situation with what's his name? Tyler Perry coming in and saving them when they had to find somewhere to stay
Oh my
in
god. I
LA. But
First
go
of
ahead.
all, I cannot stand
Look, he seems to
but
always be there though for random people, so I have to give that to him.
I really still to this day don't understand why he got involved in this whole thing,
I don't
but
know, but she only could touch base with certain people, so I guess he just happened to be around. But whatever.
I mean, it was a great thing that he did. I'm not gonna say that was
No,
bad,
no, I
but,
hear you. I hear you. It
um,
was random as hell, but I was like, look, he didn't have to take
very
that call.
random.
It was. But he does always seem to be around when certain people are in distress, and he puts them up in the studio. I'll be like, "Yo, if this is all
Funny.
homie's job was, then I guess all that Medea was worth it."
Oh my god. Okay, yeah. We have to have a separate thing
No,
about
that's
my
okay.
my feelings on Medea and Tyler Perry. Oh
That'll
my
be
god.
another side topic, another side topic.
Anyway.
But go ahead, go ahead. What else you want to say about the doc?
No, so I another thing I thought was really beautiful was just like Harry. And if you were, I mean, I'm painfully single currently, but
Mhm.
if you were in a relationship, I'm like, "Oh my god, this is how you would want someone to stand up for you and defend
Yes.
you and support you and, completely advocate for your well-being." And I was just like amazed
Yeah.
by the way that he has taken this into his own hands and willing to sort of separate from family if that's needed. I thought that was, you know,
It's
it just
bravo to me.
speaks yeah, it speaks volumes. I
It
was
speaks
very
volume. You're willing to, like they said, F up your whole royal state status
yes,
just for this
yeah,
chick. That means you really in love because ain't
listen,
nobody else trying to do that when they have all that security and do whatever they want, go wherever they
exactly.
want, and they have to get haunted. They have to keep moving every 6 weeks because that's when
Yes,
paparazzi finds them. Yeah. I
I
mean, like she
I
said to
was
him, it was it worth it? Like if she started doubting it, then you know he was in love because he was like, yeah, we have
yeah,
to
we're
figure
definitely
this out.
doing this. Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
You're
I
too
I
you're in
loved
too
it.
deep. You're in too deep. And it's exactly those relationships that we, as you and me both, painfully single. I'm just so used to being single. I'm like, I'm not even gonna say painfully anymore. But I just feel like that kind of a guy is, and I did tweet it last night. I'm not gonna lie. I tweeted, I want a Harry. And I
Yes,
tweeted that with the hashtag Harry Meghan Netflix because I was like,
it's
oh yeah,
it's
I
a
had several
beautiful
thoughts on
thing.
hashtags last night. I
We
was
haven't
changing.
even gotten to all of that, so we have to get into some of that. What
Yes, yes. Because when I first of all, when that "We Love You, Megan" started, I sort of remember when that broke out, but I just know that when I saw that clip of how she looked when the guy asked her, I was like, "Ooh, she is not doing good at all,"
yeah,
and
yeah,
I just instantly thought postpartum because, of course, when has she had
right,
time to really absorb
naturally,
her emotions after she had a baby,
right.
and knowing how they fussed about where they were gonna take the first photos at got on my nerves because 'cause I'm just like, "Who the fuck cares?" Like, at this point, y'all shouldn't even care where the fuck they do anything, like, they weren't
That
technically
was
gonna be
so
you know what I mean? It was so
unnecessary.
petty. It was just so much petty Betty stuff going on, and then all the racial stuff really irked me.
Mhm.
They showed that cartoon, and I just wanna be like, "Who the fuck is Danny Baker? And why the hell would that be your first illustration?"
That was
I
so
can
rude.
understand
That was
you know what I mean?
so
It's just like
yeah.
what they did to Obama and, Barack and Michelle, making Michelle an ape and stuff just because she
Yes.
was
Yeah.
muscular, and it's just
I
all
I
that
thought that was so wild. And again, when I look at Barack and Michelle and I look at Harry and Meghan, I'm like, these are some of the most classy, well put together, well dressed, well educated, media trained.
yeah.
Like these are professional people. So I don't know how they jump from like it's just such a slap in the face when people do that. It's
It's almost
you
like they
know.
don't associate ever with Black people with being possibly classy or educated, and that you would think that that has died at this point with all the reasons, especially after Barack won 2 terms, no less. Whether he was a lame
Right,
duck the second term or not, it doesn't matter. The point is he won the second time without even having to really try,
right,
and my whole
exactly.
thing was because everybody honestly was in really in awe of the fact that he was a Black man who, 1, knew his shit, and then also 2, was trying to, which you're never gonna win even as a president, trying to blend all sides together. But realistically,
Right.
we're all too petty and
But he
narrow-minded
he
to really
he did I thought he did
anybody.
a great job at trying to do that,
The
and sort
messaging
of
was better than what came after that, yeah. I
yeah,
definitely applaud him for putting that communications out because
yeah,
that's really the shit that turned everything opposite because he did touch so many people with
yeah,
humanity, you know what I mean?
absolutely.
And then suddenly it just became not fun, I guess, to believe that Hope was actually going to win a second term. And when the reality was it did, it's just that they tried so hard to block everything he was trying to do, yet he still got some stuff done and still
Exactly.
doing more now. But again, we always get sidetracked with the race stuff. Like there's still gonna always be black people that
Well,
said,
yeah, I
Barack was
think that's why we
uh,
had the backlash we had. I mean, I
yeah,
really believe that we had the backlash because with Trump and all of this shenanigans that
it
we're
was a
living in.
result of all that. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was.
I think
It
it
was
was a
big, big,
backlash, like,
yeah.
people are always terrified that, God forbid, we I don't know what they're afraid of. I think I'll never understand what they're afraid of because, you know, I am a Black person, so I don't know what their fear actually consists of,
I
but
think that there's definitely the wrong messaging that because Black people want respect and equality, that that instantly means that we don't want white people to be alive, which is stupid.
so
If
ridiculous.
anything,
No.
the messaging should be that if we're in the United States of America, then what is wrong
Right.
with being united people in
Right.
America? You know, so
Well,
we're
that's
not trying to be better, but you're
yes.
taking us there.
Yes. Well, this is the thing. Like, Harry is a great example of how to be an
Right,
ally,
right.
like how to be supportive, how to still stand up for a cause. I mean, he's not apologizing for being late. There's not like, and there's no need for anyone to do that. It's just be on the side of history, like be on the right
Well,
side
and
of
also too,
history, like be
I
on
think
the
he
side of
realized how
justice.
much he didn't realize how much he was out of touch with what
Right.
his family stood for until he was going through that. And I don't
Yeah.
think he
Yeah.
thought that he was actually gonna have to really be that independent until they really started shutting him
Yeah.
down.
Yep.
And I think that alone is where they're probably had a little bit of tension in their relationship because he didn't realize that this was gonna happen. I think he naively thought he could control what was
Mm,
gonna happen and that they're not gonna take it to this extreme, and then they found out they did, you know? I think he
really.
thought that Princess Diana would be the bar, and they were like, "No, but you're taking it to a whole nother level, and she's mouthy and opinionated, and we don't want that shit over here. You know, British people don't
Right.
do that." And
Right.
then you also have I loved hearing from other Black, British folk in the doc too, and then
Yeah,
also
that was great.
Black
Yeah.
pundits, and then
Mhm.
hearing, the little bit they gave to Pierce because we all know what Pierce's problem is, but
Oh my lord. Don't
that man
yeah.
is just so hurt. It's not even funny. And you can
He's
tell
so
people who are
angry. He's
he's
so
still
angry.
angry about Megan, like, dissing him, and even if it wasn't even a general, like, diss for a date, the fact that you felt the need to keep bringing it up and then trying
Ridiculous.
to, tie it to her personality, you're doing what they're all doing to her now in the press.
Right.
And again, I felt bad for her in the sense that I think a part of her wanted to, like we said, people please and try to win them over. But that's also when it gets to the point where they start broadcasting your business, honey.
Yeah.
When you're trying to make amends with your father and your father's feeding into it, that's when you know you lost him.
That was sad. That was really sad. That whole
That's sad.
storyline was sad, yeah,
It's
with her
sad.
dad, yeah.
And the breakdown too of why, and this is the part that really made me uncomfortable, was knowing that her I guess stepsister was feeding into all that racial stuff that started to spin off in social media, and then all those other women that started kind of spitting more lies about Megan
Yeah,
just to create this whole image of her that people thought she's not what she thinks she is and all that stuff. And I'm just like, why are y'all
right.
so desperate to try to pull her apart? Like, what? And it was only working because she wasn't used to it. If she was used to that kind of treatment, I don't think
Right.
she would have been as crumbly as she became inside, because I don't think she's ever really had to deal with that many public opinions.
But at that scale, though, no one is ever gonna be used to that,
No,
like,
no,
at
no. And
that
I'm not
scale.
saying
I
that
mean,
it's not normal, but I'm saying, like, I think it's the same reason why we were saying earlier, like, why she did not understand how people were
we're
labeling
perceiving
her just a
yeah,
Black person as
yeah,
opposed to just me being Megan. And it's like, girl, everything is about appearance in this world. Everything is about how you present to people. And that's why the British are obsessed with the royal family's obsessed with their image and their institution. It's the same reason. And because she was naively not aware of that, because she never really had to really face it, it's like, wow, you have to face this in front of all these people, and now it's everywhere in the news.
for
So
the
she's
first
literally
time,
learning
yeah,
every day, yeah, of everything that she wasn't grasping mentally as a Black woman until because it's funny how she's such a woman of service, and then she realizes now it's like, this could probably have been me. You know what I mean? If they didn't
exactly.
consider me non-threatening or a true, Black woman. You know what I mean? Like, they could have easily put her in that category had she not already appeared to be
Mhm.
not of that class. Do you know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely,
but I love the
absolutely.
fact that you do see who her parents are. And then I think the saddest part too was the niece who was hurt because she wasn't able
Yeah,
to
'cause she
communicate
couldn't
with her.
go. Yeah, yeah, that was sad. I
That
mean,
was very sad. All her friends, yeah. That
yeah.
that got really a little emotional for me because I'm like,
Mhm.
she really needed to detox from the crap, and even if she could,
Yeah.
they shut down every communication she had for a while with them, and
That's
that's
really yeah, and I will never understand why that was a threat to them, but, I mean, I didn't realize, like, how close she's, like, really close with Serena Williams. I
yeah,
had
yeah, I didn't know that either. That was new too. Yeah, I
I
found that
had
out a
no
little bit
idea.
later. Yeah. But I think it's refreshing though, because now it explains like when the wedding happened, like why all those guests were there. Because all the people that came, I said, wait. I understood Oprah, you know, but some other guests, I was like, hello,
You
like
mean like
who?
Idris?
Yeah,
Idris was
yeah,
there.
yeah, like he just DJing and stuff. Although I kind of thought that was tied to Harry. I thought it was interesting that that Prince Charles was the reason why they had a gospel choir. That was interesting.
That was
You know what I'm saying?
interesting.
Because he said that
Mhm.
was his father's idea to have, I guess, because they wanted to show both sides of their cultures through the
Yeah, which was
ceremony, which was great,
beautiful. I loved it.
very
Yeah.
great. But yeah, I love the clip of the guy who sat next to Oprah said, and we looked at each other like, girl, they
Oh
got a
my
gospel
god.
choir. But
I love Oprah so much. Like I love that she's always in everyone's business. Like I just don't understand.
she's that auntie everybody can't seem to. I mean, she's up there with what's his name, Reverend Al. They seem to always drag Reverend Al and stuff. Here come Oprah always being part of the conversation when people want to talk.
Always.
You know what I mean?
Always. Oh my god.
Always. But there's a one moment of that interview too when they did finally show it, because I knew that was going to be the cap towards the end, because that obviously became the issue of race again with the babies. Because
Yes.
we ain't gonna
Yeah.
lie, 'cause this became a subject too. How many people aren't wondering what the babies look like? I'm not gonna lie. I was curious how my sister's kids were gonna come out. But I mean, it's not something you say, you know what I mean?
No.
Because no matter what
No.
you say, they're gonna be beautiful kids no matter, and they are beautiful kids. But it's not gonna, I'd be lying to say were they gonna be dark? Are they gonna be light? They're gonna get
Right.
dark, you
I mean,
know?
that's the beauty of being Black, though, is that you don't know. Like,
You don't know.
you don't know. Like, everybody is gonna be a different shade,
Mhm.
and we're all gonna be fine.
And it
Like
shouldn't matter, but it just looks so horrible when even Oprah's face dropped when she said that there was a
like,
question of whether the baby was gonna be too dark or not, and then Oprah's like,
that is
"What?"
so first of all, it's so outrageous
So
because
outrageous.
of the parents, like, Meghan and Harry are, like I'm like, "What do you think the baby is gonna look
What do
like?"
you
I
think?
mean,
You got a lot of stuff going on there. You got a fair-skinned biracial girl with freckles and a red-skinned fair dude, a black mother, a white father in her lineage. He's got two white members in his family. Guess what you think the child is gonna be? It's gonna be a little bit of everything.
right, exactly. I mean, I just
So
thought that was so funny. I mean, and Harry said, "Oh, we're raising, biracial children."
right.
And I thought that was really impactful that he said that because honestly, once you get past like a certain, number of I don't even know what to call it. I guess just mixing. It's like a
Yeah,
lot of people kind of just lose they don't even
they don't care.
think yeah, they don't exactly.
They
So
really
I
don't
think
care.
it's interesting that he's still saying that. I mean, we'll see how that goes for but
Because honestly, realistically, if we know Harry's history, we know that he has never been seen with a black woman outside of this relationship, at least publicly.
very
Who
true.
knows? He could
Yeah.
have been at a lot of pubs and hooked up with some and just never walked out with them. But he's always seen walking out with some other drunk blonde girl. I mean, William, I think that's how he met Kate. They were out drinking together. They were drinking buddies.
I don't think I would ever wanna date someone who has this much of a public image, you
Well,
know?
he said that. That's why I love that he brought that up. Like it got to the point where every girl was
Yeah.
like, they couldn't last that long because they were just like, ugh.
Yeah, like, I don't wanna do this. Yeah, I don't want my family to be chased and,
Right,
you
right. I don't want
know
them in my face as soon as I walk out of a bar, like somewhere, like get the freak out of here. Like,
yeah, it's a
and the
lot
fact
to
that he
deal
was
with.
the one that always had to fight the paparazzi, but you never saw William in a fight with anybody with the paparazzi. So I think that
Yeah.
you have to consider too that William is the next up for to be the king or prince or whatever he's going to be, and that doesn't apply to Harry right away down the line. So he can kind of afford to slip up and mess up, whereas William's
I don't
not.
think
So
he
I can
wants that responsibility, like, I don't think he
he
wants to
doesn't.
be in that, like,
Yeah, he doesn't, and that's what I think. I think if any resentment is there, it's because that is something that William cannot negotiate, whereas Harry could. And I think it's also with the older, younger sibling kind of thing. It's just you get away with
that's
more as the
true.
youngest, as I
Yeah.
know, because I'm the youngest. But
I'm
the
also the
oldest,
youngest, yeah.
right? So so the oldest are always having some level of stress to deal with our shit at some point.
Yeah, yeah,
So
I guess so.
later along the line, it could not even have to deal with all this. It could have just been the pinnacle of,
Right.
before he blew his top. Because when he said that William was yelling at him and he couldn't believe they were yelling at each other, I said, because at that point, William was stressed because he knew what was coming.
Yeah,
And he
yeah,
also didn't realize, like, I get that you're in love, but that's also none of my business. I got to do my job, dude. Like, and you're not making it easy on me. You know what I'm saying? Because he's sitting there, got to tell them, like, I got to go against my brother now. And they said they had a
right.
pact that they wouldn't sell each
Well,
other out.
yeah, exactly.
What are you
I
gonna
think
do?
that's what put Harry over the edge, I think,
That's what
like
it is. Because the realization was that he was not gonna stick to his promise. You
That's
know, because at
yeah.
that point it was about what he represented and the fact that he knew Kate wasn't about to do anything crazy. So
Yeah. I
that's
don't
what their
know.
goals are. And that's a
I
shame.
mean, Harry and Meghan just look like way more fun. I'm just gonna be
I mean, come on, night and day. Like, and
right.
again, William and Kate could be fun, but do you think they're allowed to really show that kind of fun? Because
But why not? Like, I don't know. I just think everyone being stuffy it's not doing any services for anyone. Like,
no, but I mean, another reason why a lot of people here in America don't understand our obsession with them because they're not our king and queen or whatever. But
oh, that's true. Wait, that's actually a great point. So I think
yeah,
we are, as Americans, obsessed with them
mhm.
because we're so young as a country, right? We don't have any kind of like, we're fresh. We have what, like 200 plus years. So it's like,
Well, and we
the
freed
fact that they
ourselves from
have
them. Yeah.
yeah, and I feel like that's why we're kind of curious. We freed
Well, and
ourselves
also too, like
from
you said, you
them.
don't have 2 monarchies, you just have 1 stupid president, and I shouldn't say stupid, but I mean, we've made
Well,
a mockery of the presidency, in my opinion, since Barack left, but at
yes,
this
we
point,
have.
we don't even really respect our own laws, so that's why I say we look at them like, "Y'all still doing this royal shit?" Like, I think
Yeah,
that's
but
partially what it is too.
even though it's just really figureheads, I mean, they don't really have
Yeah.
any power over anything, but
Right.
I mean, I think it's like it's a spectacle, I mean, and it's we try to recreate it. I feel like there's always an American celebrity of the decade that we
Yeah, yeah, we do. We do
nominate
our own
into
cheesy
that, like,
little,
yeah. But yeah, I think
but
we're
it's not
just like
officially a king and queen though.
I know, but that's even more so why I think like the history of it, the lineage, and I do think we're fascinated by it. I don't know. I mean, every time there's any news, because I watch the news in the morning while I'm getting ready, and
Mhm.
you know, it could be this whole feud about the Netflix documentary was on the news this morning, and I'm like,
It was,
what?
I know, 'cause I
Why?
knew that
Why
all
is
that
this
was
on?
coming. Because you know what it is? I think everyone wants to believe that there was more information given, but there really wasn't. It was just the
Right,
details that we didn't know. We all knew how this was gonna come off, as far as the other side, because that's all they
right.
have to do is deflect. But we know at the end of the day, like, I don't care how much you edited this documentary, these kids are just in love and y'all just can't handle
Yes.
it. And that's all that is.
That's the takeaway, 'cause every episode that I watched, I'm like, "Oh my god, they're so beautiful together." That's what
I
I took
loved it.
away from it.
I
So,
loved
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
It made me feel young. It made me feel look back and like, God, I wish I had met someone that made me feel that way, and
Mhm.
that it didn't like because they honestly had to figure how they felt about each other really quickly because then it became an issue of timing and I got to go and do
Yeah.
this. And,
Yeah.
she
And they're
spent like
both
a whole what,
working
week,
and
yeah, working
mhm.
in a tent and having to pee in the floor or whatever. I don't know how they went to the bathroom there because that just sounded nasty, but the fact that that was their first experience, like intimacy,
Oh, when they stayed out in, like, the
yeah.
bush, like, in
Yeah, when they had to,
Africa.
like, live in the tent, like, if you don't know that much about a person after that, I don't
Yeah.
y'all ain't got no help. I mean, y'all ain't got no, chance of working together, but if you already experience yourself in a short amount of time because you wanna get
Right.
to know this person, like she said, that was a leap. That to me is the scary part of dating in general, but she
Right.
actually physically traveled, you know?
That's true. Yeah.
And if
And
you think
they
about
kind of
that
had
risk,
to.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the
I
type of risk of dating that I know I have not escalated yet to ever, that I've wanted to do anything that made me uncomfortable for the person yet. So,
mm,
that's when to me it's
okay.
bigger than dating when you my sister did that for her husband, like she was driving back and forth, which we didn't know till later, but driving back and forth from Georgia to New York because he was stationed in Georgia before they got married.
God,
The fact that she was
God.
doing that without anyone knowing, it was like,
Right.
"Are you nuts?" "Probably, yeah." But because my sister is also so private, it's like that's one of those situations that she would have never explained until after
Until
everything.
everything was, like, settled down and
Right.
yeah. That's
So, at
mm,
the end of the day, to me, that's love. Like, when
yeah.
we're not lying when they say you do crazy things for love. That is crazy because I ain't spending that much gas on anybody. You know?
Oh my
I'd have to get
god.
over my highway phobia
You have
first.
to take that leap. You have to take that leap.
And it's already scary to be vulnerable. That's why I say they're to me, their awkwardness and geekiness is what made them even more charming, and
Yes, but I'm glad we got to see that because we really didn't see that until this documentary.
I didn't
So,
even know they were gonna show the kids that much, honestly.
yeah,
I
yeah,
got a little nervous myself. I said, "Oh, we've seen a little too much of these babies. Are they short?" But then they're probably gonna change so much since
mhm,
then that you're not even gonna notice. But I loved how Archie was a little mouthy in that one scene where he
Archie,
was
so
saying like,
cute.
"Mommy got my feet dirty, Mama," and all this. I was like, "Well, he blaming her for his dirty feet." Everybody blaming Megan. No wonder she feeling some type of way. Everybody keeps
Oh my
blaming her,
god.
but he's a
He
cute
was
little
so
kid,
cute. And
very
then who
cute kid.
was it that was, like, talking to the picture of Diana? I thought that was really sweet too.
I think that is when he was a baby
Right?
because
Yeah.
yeah, because then she would be when she and they kind of dropped the whole pregnancy with Lilybeth because I didn't even know she miscarried. That was another thing they brought out. I didn't know
Yeah,
she
I
miscarried.
didn't know that either.
But
I
it
didn't know
made
that either.
sense though because she was stressed and that was around the heightening of when she realized she had to take the Daily Mail litigation and the fact that she couldn't that was also the first time I think that her friends were actually able to come and see her while they were in hiding away in Vancouver. And
Right.
that was sad too, because again, the little stillness moments that she was always talking about how she just thrived when it was quiet, when it was just her waking up, even after the
Mhm.
day after the
Yeah.
wedding, him showing her just being goofy across, the in the barn that they lived at. And so those little moments to me, they didn't have to show, but
Yeah.
I
I
think
thought
they
that was
really
beautiful.
it was
Yeah.
very sweet and simple. And I mean, when you wake up in the morning and you see a beautiful sunset or
Yeah.
sunrise, I mean, those moments you don't have to share. And the fact that they showed that and the fact they kept cutting to her talking about how relaxing it was,
Yeah.
I just was
Yeah.
like, y'all just taking away the little things from her at this point.
I
And
know. I
I
know.
I don't know how that screams fake at all because I wouldn't feel the need
No.
to show shit
No.
at this point in my
So
life.
is that the feedback that you feel like so, like, now that this is aired and, like, it's, all the parts are out, do you feel like people think she's still fake or
Sometimes I think that people just wanna think what they wanna think after a while, like,
right. Yeah.
nothing because honestly, we know that things are edited, we know that in the height of reality TV, they only show you the things that they want you to see,
True.
but to me, at this point, like I said, we know the general storyline, I just think, like
Right.
they stated in the very first episode, is that why would we not wanna tell our side of the story at this point? Because everybody's kinda
Mhm.
just run and tell that with everything else.
Right, right,
So
right.
the fact that they, like I said, showed that much intimate all that stuff they were making their journals, like, on their video, they didn't have to show any of that to us.
That's true.
They
Yeah.
didn't owe that to us because 'cause we're more likely to trust her because she's American, and knowing that we knew that Harry was kind of a thug from the door.
Oh my god.
Like, if you really think about it, that kid been a look, we saw Harry, he was a mess, and he had every right to wild out after his mother was killed, so, the fact that he was doing the
Hi.
little things that he was doing as he got older and they had to put him in the military, that's how I knew, I said, "Harry a thug, they can't control that boy," and so, when he ended up marrying her, I said he would be the one because he's the
Well,
redheaded
it worked out. It worked out.
it worked out because Harry
He
is
got it
too
together.
open-minded to
Mhm.
be in that
Yeah. Yeah.
lifestyle and then marry a woman like Megan. And then the fact that
Right.
she's not the stereotype of what they probably believed a black woman should be, that confused them even more. Do
True.
you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So they
True.
want to keep us as black folk in a box. So the fact that we got all types of different colors, body types, and personalities,
God. They're gonna be permanently confused, but it's okay.
everybody will. And that's why I love that she shows the world how goofy she is because
Yeah.
I look at
Yeah.
her and I see somebody who has the benefit of winning over several different audiences because now
Yes.
you
Yeah.
have the bi racial community that already is probably still struggling how to fit
Mhm.
in. And I like how the
Absolutely.
fact that she
Yep.
talked about it with casting because Lord knows when I tried to audition, that is definitely something that you get stuck in. And she
Mhm.
can afford
Yeah.
it with the hair and stuff. She can play a
Yeah.
Italian, she can play a Puerto Rican. I only play a black person. That's all I
Right,
can
right,
play.
right, right.
So,
No, I mean, that's so true. I think
yeah,
she touches a lot of people, and that's important.
and not even trying to, and that's the thing that I
Yeah.
like about her. That's and I think it's sad we're in a cynical age where we can't believe that someone and genuinely just wants to be liked for themselves. Like, it almost seems like
Yeah.
it's so much of an ask to believe that you are what you are presenting.
Yeah.
That's how
No, I
disoriented we've become.
it's really sad, but that's like that's normal now. That's normal, you
It's
know?
it's and now we're wondering why we're seeing so many spikes in suicides lately, and it's like, "Gee, I wonder why people would dare not feel comfortable in their own skin." Well, you don't make it easy to be okay to be
Right.
in my own skin, like,
Right. If you
where do
choose
I go?
yeah, exactly. If you don't look, like what you're supposed to, or if you don't do what you're supposed to do, whatever that means, it's like it's not easy. It's
It's
really
hard
not.
too when you also feel like there is pressure, especially as someone in my age at this point, that I'm supposed to be living a certain lifestyle. I'm supposed to be making a certain amount of money. I'm supposed to have this, that, and
Mhm.
the third. And I've gotten to the point where that anxiety, I again had to quit because I'm not that, and that's fine. But it has crippled my ability to want to date because I do feel like that is something I will be judged on. The
Hmm.
fact I'm not financially as independent as I should be. And I had to stop that even in therapy. Like I was told to stop saying should,
Mm.
stop shoulda, coulda, woulda. Like
Yes, yeah,
you
yeah. That's
are. And but that is another reason why I don't date. That is definitely going to be another pod topic. But I do feel like that is something, that pressure is what is heightening a lot of people questioning everything they do. So seeing somebody as authentic as Megan seems
yes, yeah.
strange to us, and that's sad. It's very sad.
No, she went through a lot and a lot just to be herself. And I respect her a lot and Harry for going through all of that on the world stage, in public with no privacy. I just, again, like what he was able to do for their relationship, I think is so beautiful. And then each of them, like as individuals, like being willing to stand up for themselves, it's very admirable.
Now, what do you think if you were William and Kate?
Hmm.
Would you want to sit with them individually and say, okay, I really don't think we should be at ends, because at some point this is just going to be us four left, when everyone's
Um,
gone.
if
And
I were William and Kate, I would definitely try to like make amends at this point, because why not?
why?
Why are we doing
There shouldn't
this?
be any beef.
Right. I mean, even with Charles as king, I mean, he's elderly,
Right.
so eventually, yeah, it's gonna be the younger royals. And what's the point of having that kind of rift in the family? I mean,
I just feel like, again, it's an opportunity too for them both generation wise to bend the rules a little bit, to the point where if we're going to represent the queen in the best way, how about we not
right,
give into all the bullshit that's being said?
right, exactly,
You know what I mean? Because
exactly.
all she was doing was what her lineage taught her to do. But in the heart of the matter, if anyone who watches The Crown like I do not think she had ill will towards anyone. I do
I
just
I
think
don't
she was
watch The Crown,
strong-willed.
but I agree with you. I don't think that she didn't seem like a malicious
No,
person. Like she was
no.
trying to make Megan's life difficult or anything like that.
No, and I do believe that those pictures when they had to go to that luncheon or whatever are pretty much how their relationship was. I think she
I
loved
Yeah.
her as a grandmother, and I
Mhm.
don't think that she had any intimidation factor at all. I just think she was following
Agree.
rules, and, like any matriarch of a huge family or dynasty, they have to protect whether or not they agree with it or not.
Yeah.
And, now that she's
It's
passed
in
on.
their hands now, like
Yeah.
it's in the next generation's hands. And I think Harry and Meghan have already made it clear what they want to do and how they want to lead their lives. And I think,
Mhm.
William and Kate have been quiet basically this whole time and letting the tabloids speak for them. But I think it's time for them to really just make amends. I mean, what's the
And also too, at this point, it shouldn't if Harry feels so strong to not want to repeat what happened with Harry, I think that should be a testament to William to say, well, I also didn't want to be fighting with my brother, but he also knows that what we represent is most important. But
Mhm.
I also don't want to lose my whole family over it, because
Right, exactly.
we're worried about reputations and stuff. And also too, can we just like slowly feather out these little leaks that keep coming out? Like those people don't need to be in the castle either, you know?
Yeah, I don't
Like
know
your
how
little
to.
staff, like, why do we need staffs for that? Like, just say no comment. If you don't want her friends to talk, then y'all can't talk anymore. Y'all got to get rid of the people that are talking.
I don't understand how all of that works. I would love to understand, like, how many
Me too.
people are in these press offices and, like, who reports into who. Like, it's just fascinating. Like, that's fascinating to me.
And
I don't know.
who is really fulfilling their own agendas? Like, is this just because of tradition? Are they scared to just put a cog in the wheel and just decide, all right, enough. Like, I'm tired. I'm sick of
You
having
mean
to
for
defend myself.
William?
For William and them, like just in general,
Yeah.
like, is there a point where you're just gonna say, is it worth it? You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
don't wanna have to keep having to get those questions when I'm on my next service,
Right.
assignment. I'm
Right.
tired of
Right.
people asking me about them. Okay, so how about stop feeding the wolves? Like she said,
Mhm. Right.
Megan felt she was fed to the wolves. Stop feeding the wolves.
Yeah. No, I mean, we'll see what he does. I don't know. I think it's definitely the right time though to kind of
Mhm.
just make amends.
Especially around this time of year, honey. And I don't know what Christmas means to them, but I just know when you have too many people in your business at this point, and you're just feeding all those talking heads,
Mhm.
you gotta question whether or not this is really about the queen or about
Oh, it's
family.
not. It's not about the queen. I think it's about the institution itself,
Yeah.
like continuing that. And I don't
And if
know.
you want to make your grandma proud, I'm sorry. You now that she's gone, especially because I don't know what Charles's intentions is. I know he's not going to have obviously any kind of like reform or updated approach, but there's a point where after a while even he has to say like there's just some things that we just got to start shedding because it's just not applicable
I would
to
hope
the
so.
time. You know what I
I
mean?
would
I
I
would
would
hope
hope
so too.
so.
I just hope
Yeah.
that young reform will start to buck against the system and maybe instead of hating on Harry and Meghan, they
Mhm.
celebrate the fact that that has challenged the institution to actually be a little bit more modern.
Right, right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't seem hard to us, but we're Americans, so we can say what we want.
No, it
But
seems very clear. I mean, it seems to me like it just seems like an easy path, right? Like, why wouldn't you want younger, more diverse, more transparent royals? I mean, it seems very easy to
and all
us,
the
of course.
history they showed and all the history they gave us in that documentary and the history I've learned from The Crown, as long as it was, you just realize they're giving there's a lot of stuff in The Crown. Like I'm telling you, there were
I
some
can't.
chapters I ain't gonna lie, I ADD'd out all of them, but I got the gist. But there's just a reason why there is so much history now and why some of these latest colonies and territories are starting to back out. And now it
Right.
makes sense. But to me, yeah, I
Yeah.
totally agree with Harry. You missed an opportunity to try to at least
Yeah.
reroute everything and just say, all right, we're going to go back to originally what this was supposed to be about, and Meghan is definitely the catalyst for that. And we thank her for putting that spirit out because that's what we thought we were doing, but apparently,
Yes, absolutely.
you
Absolutely.
know, so
That's what they tried to do. So
they
I
tried to
I
do. And
applaud them.
honestly, again, I'm glad I'm not in that lifestyle either. Cause if there's one thing I appreciated with all those people commenting, whether it be the guy that was kind of swirly looking, I don't know, with the weird twist, but he, he made some good observations coming from like in
I
other,
liked him. Yeah, I liked
I
him.
loved him a
Yeah.
lot, but his hair was getting on my nerves. But and the black girl too, they were making the point to say, like, this is how it actually was coming off, whether or not they wanted to
Right.
admit it. And sometimes there's a point where you have to realize, like, you're not that dumb, you're just lazy. You don't want to change.
Oh, yeah.
And that's
Oh,
a mentality
definitely.
that you don't want to change because that messes up the cog and the wheel and the
Right. I mean,
you know what
but it
I mean?
also takes a long time to change an institution that's old and as large as that. I mean,
I mean,
it
look at our
takes
government.
it takes a while to turn the ship. Yeah, it's gonna take a
It
minute.
as much as we know what's wrong with our institution, you know what I mean?
Mm.
We can't talk. Like we know we got some fucked up things, and now Trump trying to act like we shouldn't follow the Constitution. What?
Oh
Anyway,
my God. Yeah. Again, another topic.
another topic, but no, I thank you for even wanting to talk to me about this because, like I said,
Absolutely.
I don't know anybody else who's really buzzing about it or trying to front like they actually watch it, even though I have a feeling most people are. They just don't want to talk about it. But
No, I was on it. As soon as I saw it up there, I'm like, okay, I am blowing through this. I don't care what I have to do tomorrow. I'm gonna
yes,
be tired for it because
because
I'm
I might even
watching
go back
three
now and
hours.
I might go back and actually watch the whole thing from beginning to end now that I thought about it because it's just a
I want
six.
to watch the last three because I feel like I was kind of, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, there was a point toward like I think the second to last episode I kind of went in and out. I think my mom came home. We started talking a little bit, but yeah,
hmm
I agree because there's some stuff that they threw in there, especially how that whole spiral became so vicious, social media wise with the whole racial, uh,
yeah,
how those bots started, and basically I feel like anything started from the 2016 election and on as to how those bots start because I feel like that whole thing became like a methodology of how to
you know what
intimidate.
that reminded me of was the
Mm.
whole Cambridge Analytica thing,
Yeah.
where didn't it, right? Like the whole
Yes.
thing where like Cambridge Analytica was like planting bots
Yes.
on Facebook for, putting out propaganda and like I don't know, it just kind of like reminded me of that whole thing. But
And that's what we're going through. If you're on Twitter, everyone knows like this is where Twitter's starting to go. And I don't personally see a lot of it as much as just the people complaining. Like a lot of journalists now are getting their accounts dismembered.
I heard that this morning. Yeah, I heard that
Yeah.
this
So now
morning.
he's trying to Elon is being very 45ish in his conducting of Twitter.
Of
And
course.
so
Of course.
again, it questions free speech and free media. And I don't know what kind of media he
Sad.
wants to push, but it's not going to be the liberal and free-minded media that we've been used to injecting in social media. And so here we go with the disinformation crap again, so now everybody's going to question everything that's given to them now because of all this muddy water that is trying to be controlled. And it's all really money. And to me, again, it goes back to why capitalism can suck, because this is exactly why. We have a free app.
I can't believe that someone could buy, like, isn't it just disgusting that someone has enough wealth
money, yeah,
to do this? Like,
it disgusts me that he always seems to fuck everything up though with the money. That's what kills me. Like, it's like, you're not even productive with it. Like, you have one little good year and then all of a sudden everything now Tesla you trying to sell, and then you think you'll come to Twitter and be successful. Are you serious?
Yeah, the Twitter thing is really problematic though, because it is, I think it's becoming a major free speech issue, like him being the, arbiter of who gets to be on and who doesn't, and censoring journalists, and it's becoming an issue.
It's just petty boots. And it's also, again, if you want to be part of something, like, you don't have to like throw the whole lunch table out. You can just simply sit down and join. You don't have to make a whole production, make your whole table, create new enemies, and then say they're your friends when they're not, because you're incapable of making friends. Like, he's a very awkward guy. I understand it. He might be not saying he's like ill, but I know I've heard things about him being possibly autistic. But I think he's also one of those people that he may have all the power and the money, but I feel like these people always are basically successful for the idea of things, not necessarily because they know how to use
how they execute. Yeah,
exactly. And so everything that blows up after him specifically is not a good sign for him to be in charge of something that can be freely used from random walks of life.
No, and it's really
you giving a straight right extremists platforms is scary, because knowing that some of these people are actually bored people in their basements who can drum up free thought and then confuse people who probably didn't have a thought in their mind before, and now all of a sudden they think it's cool to just go to a supermarket and just shoot up people that are notoriously Black and poor. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it leads to that shit. And that's why that's bad. It's not because it's necessarily a difference of opinion. It's because some of those people have no sense and will physically go out and hurt somebody because they want to make a point.
Right. Like, no, there shouldn't be a forum for that, but I was going to say, as we wrap up, I think we should also talk about, maybe in the future, I don't know if you've watched White Lotus.
No, I don't, but Jen's told me about it. But
oh my God, it is
talk about it.
So good. It's so good. I won't spoil anything for you, but it's excellent. I think you would love it.
All right, I'll try to give it a try, but I tell you, there's certain things I get selective of with watching, because there's certain shows my friend Laura wants me to get in. She wants me to watch the Circle. I'm not interested in that either.
No, I'm not interested in that. No,
I don't watch a lot of dating shows just because they all get on my nerves.
But this isn't a dating show. This is
no. I know, but I mean, it's like the next best thing people are talking about, and it's like I don't follow too many trends like with shows, because then I instantly judge it. And I go, "This sucks."
You're gonna love it. I think you're gonna love it. I mean, there's 2 seasons of it now, but you're gonna love it.
Yeah, no, I can catch up, but I'm not gonna lie to you. What I'm probably gonna do actually is go watch Southside, because the new season's on. I like Southside. It's stupid comedy, and I need to laugh sometimes more than be like stressed or.
I hear you.
You know what I'm saying? But I can respect that. In the mental Rolodex, but I thank you, girl, for even taking this time. This is longer than I normally do. But I don't. No,
I loved it. I loved it.
I love it too, because sometimes you just have to talk and you just got to gab, especially about something you mutually understand. And we all want a Harry out there, as all of us single women know.
I'm still praying for my Harry. I think it's gonna happen.
We're gonna pray and put into fruition. I'm just gonna wait until I'm ready to accept my Harry, because everything to me is
because you're gonna have to make a little sacrifice,
I'm very selfish with my independence, so that's why I say unless he's a strapping Eagles tight end by the name of Dallas Goedert, I don't want nobody in my space right now. Sorry. Anyway, this was 5 questions. I hope you enjoyed it. 5 questions and more is what I'll call this one. Yes. Thank you, my darling Morgan, and you have a great holiday. And we will see each other in person at some point. I don't know when, but we will.
Soon, definitely.
Hopefully before, or even when this dumb snow tries to come, which I hope it doesn't. I hope we have a very dry winter, because I don't really feel like shoveling at all. But all right, girl, thank you for sharing the space, and we'll talk and have a great evening.
Bye now. Bye-bye.